And so before we make an offer, we want to make sure that the person acknowledges that they've got a problem, or that there is sufficient motivation to make a change from where they are, and that there is also a big enough cost associated with actually not buying.
Welcome to the Master Dealmaker's Secrets podcast. And now, here's sales growth strategist, John Blake.
Dealmaker Secrets, I'm John Blake. This is episode 216, and today we're going to talk about how to get to your client's why and why this is important. But before we do that, if you've got leads you've spoken to, you've made an offer to, but they haven't converted into paying clients, what I want you to do is go to johnblakeaudio.com. At that link, you will have access to a specific training that I put together to help you to follow up on the people that you've made an offer to but haven't bought yet. This is a system that I have been refining for 20 years. It works. It's worked for me for 20 years, and it's worked for every other client that I have introduced it to that's put it into place. You will get a 15-minute audio that walks you through the entire process, plus a PDF that's got the exact word-for-word scripts, what to say when you call, what to write in your emails, and most importantly, the biggest question I get is when to call and when to email, and how much is too much. All right. So biggest question I get is, how much is over the top? At what point do clients get annoyed? This process will answer all those questions. And when you put it into practice or teach it to somebody to put it into practice for you, you will find that you will get a really great result, and you will convert a stack more people that you have spoken to, made an offer to, but they haven't bought yet. So it is at johnblakeaudio.com. Go grab it, put it into action, and let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear your success story. Cool. So today what we're going to talk about is how to get to why. So the reason this is important is because often if we don't get to if we only stay at a superficial level in terms of our sales conversations, our sales frameworks, the person we're talking to will have very little motivation to actually do anything about it. And so before we make an offer, we want to make sure that the person acknowledges that they've got a problem, or that there is sufficient motivation to make a change from where they are, and that there is also a big enough cost associated with actually not buying. So in most cases, people make a buying decision when the cost of doing nothing becomes greater than the cost in time, energy, money, and identity in actually making a change. So the acronym that I learned from Travis Sago, the great Travis Sago, is timer. So people invest time, they invest their identity, they invest at the level of identity, i.e. how I see myself with this new particular product or service. They invest at the level of money, of course, so money's got to change hands. They invest at the level of energy, so I've got to allocate energy to this particular purchase, especially if there is some work required on my behalf. And there is also an investment in reputation, so how other people will perceive me once I've actually got this particular product or service. So we need to get to a higher level of why, a deeper level of why, a more emotional level of why, in order for us to be able to make an offer. Because if we make an offer where we haven't got to a sufficient level of why, then the offer will probably not be taken up and people won't buy. So especially if we're selling a product or a service, a non-tangible, but even if we're not selling something that is a service, we need to uncover sufficient motivation before we make an offer. So I'm going to give you a couple of different ways that you can do this, and then I'm going to give you some examples of some calls that I've recently listened to, and how you can get to some of those levels of motivation if you're talking to somebody who is not really volunteering a lot of information. And some clients don't volunteer much information because they don't want to. Other clients don't volunteer information is because they probably haven't thought that deeply about what it is that has motivated them to want to talk to you about making a purchase. So there are effectively three levels. There are three levels. The surface level is like it's like a very neutral explanation about why the person has come to you. So a very neutral level might be, I want more leads, right? So if we were talking about a digital agency, I want more leads, right? That is a surface level type response. And if at that point there was a salesperson, the person that was talking to the person said, I want more leads. And if we simply say, well, we can help you get more leads, we can create hundreds of leads for you. We can definitely help with that. There is a very small possibility that that person will buy. Why? Because we haven't uncovered the reasons why and what that would look like if that particular problem was fixed, right? So that's at a very, very superficial surface level, right? So we want to get to the level, we want to get to at least the level above that, right? So there's this whole thing about, the 7 levels of why. And that's where we want to go 7 levels deep. Well, why is that important? Why is that important? It's like, well, I want more leads so that I can make more sales, right? And that might be the action level, right? But it's not really. It's still probably at the surface level. I want to make more sales. Okay, well, what is it that making more sales would allow you to do? Well, it would allow me to earn more income. And that's kind of still at a surface level. It's like, okay, well, what specifically would that level of income allow you to do? Well, it'd allow me to set myself up for my future. Okay, well, now we're getting somewhere, right? Now we're starting to get to more of a higher level of motivation behind that particular potential purchase. So the idea is to get to at least a level 2, right? A level 2, I need more leads. Well, why do you need more leads? Well, I want to make more sales. Okay, great. So, why do you want to make more sales? Well, I want to grow my business. Okay, well, what would growing your business allow you to do? Well, it would allow me to put on more staff. Okay, what would putting on more staff allow you to do? Well, it would allow me to be able to not do as much on the day-to-day and start working on the business more and be able to grow the business more strategically, hire more people, and have more leverage so that I can make more profit. Okay, great. Well, what would having more profit allow you to do? Well, it would mean I can take more time away from the business. Okay, great. What would you do if you were able to take more time away from the business? Well, I would travel. Great. Where would you go? I'd go to Europe. Who would you go with? I'd go with my wife. Great. Well, and what would you do? Why is that important? Oh, because ever since we first got married, that's something that we've always wanted to do. Okay, well, look, that's a great goal, right? So, you can continue to drill down to get to the motivation, because now it makes sense. Now I'm going to be motivated to make this happen because there's an end goal and it's a motivating goal. So one of the best three why questions to ask at the start of a call, and I literally at this point have listened to hundreds of recordings, hundreds of sales call recordings in the coaching sessions that I do with clients. And one of the three best questions to ask is, so, out of all the other options that you have available to you, any particular reason that you decided to contact us, right? So how are we positioned in the eyes of our potential client? Did they do a Google search? Because that's kind of at one level or at one end of the continuum. And then at the opposite end is, oh, my brother worked with you guys and said that you were the best and that he would never ever even dream of going anywhere else. Right? So you've got sort of two ends. So why us? How are we positioned? And these are all questions that we can use to work out whether we are going to make an offer to this person. Because unless we've got sufficient motivation and we've uncovered sufficient motivation, if we make an offer, we are kind of going to be wasting our time in a lot of ways. So we need to make sure, is this person motivated to make a change? Do they think we can help them? Will there be a big enough upside for them to make this happen? And is there a big enough cost of staying where they are in order for them to make a decision? So why us is a really good one. Why now? Why is now? So someone says, oh, look, so one of my clients, I'm going to give you a couple of examples of, have a financial product, and it helps them. It helps the buyer to be able to trade successfully in the share market, and so one of the best questions that you can ask at the front end of those conversations is, okay, so how long have you been trading? Oh, I've been trading for 2 years. Okay, so why now? Why look into getting more help with this now? Because often there will have been a trigger event. There will be something that's caused them, and if we can uncover what that is, that's a very powerful place for us to now be able to build on how we might be able to help them, because they've just acknowledged to us why this is important now. And then the other one is, why this? So often when I'm working with trades clients, a client will say, oh, I want to do this. Okay, well, why do you want to do it this way? Right. And people are often, so from a building perspective or a renovation perspective, they're not experts. Why do you want to do it this way? And often it's an opportunity for the builder to, or the renovation tradie, to add value, because they're going to be able to spot more efficient ways of doing things in a way that someone who doesn't have any experience in renovations won't be able to actually notice. So there's all sorts of different valuable reasons for asking these why questions. And so, as an example, in some of the calls recently that I've listened to, there was one particular one where the salesperson that I was coaching said to the client, so what was it that made you interested in inquiring about this particular course? And the client said, oh, I've got a bit of spare time at the moment, right? Now that is a really, really surface level type question. And so my client, the salesperson, was digging a little bit deeper, and okay, so anything else in particular that made you decide to get in contact? Oh yeah, I want to sort of tidy up my portfolio. Again, surface level type stuff. And so someone says, oh, I've got more spare time. It's like, okay, well, why spend your spare time learning how to trade shares? Like, why not learn how to speak Italian? Right? And it's okay to be able to say that. Why not sit under a palm tree and drink out of a coconut in your spare time? So we can ask these questions to try to get to the core reasons why people have come to us. Because if we do, we can get to that core motivation. And if we can uncover that and we can expand on that, that provides real motivation for the person to actually make a buying decision. So the important thing to consider is that if we move past these things and into making a recommendation to buy, we are dramatically reducing the possibility that our clients will actually accept our offers. And we can make what's called a blind offer. And a blind offer is when you make an offer to a potential client that you haven't properly qualified. So we haven't uncovered why they're here. We haven't uncovered the cost of doing nothing. We haven't uncovered what a successful outcome will look like and why that will be important. and why that's motivational to the client. If we haven't done those things, and there's about 8 to 10 different parts of the sales process that we need to tick off on before we make an offer. And if we don't, we're going to make an offer and there's going to be all sorts of reasons why they won't go ahead. So really the main reason that I wanted to share this with you is that I just hear so many different sales conversations where we haven't uncovered why. So we'll ask, okay, so what made you just, decide to get in contact? Oh yeah, I just need to, I'm just collecting information. That would be another example of a very level 1 type response. Someone says, oh yeah, well, I'm just doing a bit of research, collecting a bit of information. Well, if at that point we move into, okay, well, we've got 3 different products and you can do it, and we move into product demonstration mode, there is almost no chance whatsoever that person's going to buy. So a good response to, oh yeah, I'm just collecting information. It's like, okay, well, any particular reason that makes now a good time for collecting information? And you might not get a response from that either. So it's about having a number of different ways. And what we teach in the program is a number of different ways that we can uncover these whys. And we've got to be really artful about it, because if we're not, we can become annoying, right? If we keep asking the same question over and over again, well, we're probably going to keep getting the same answer. So we've got to become artful in how we rephrase our questions. And there's like 3 or 4 different ways that we can uncover a good motivation behind a buyer, so that when we get to a point where we are making an offer, we've got the highest possible chance of them saying yes to it. So I hope this has been useful, but at a very minimum, the 3 great why questions to ask is, why us? So what, out of all the other options that you had out there, any particular reason you chose to contact us? Why now? So why is, what makes now an important time for us to be having this conversation? And why specifically this particular option, right? Because that gives you an opportunity to work out whether it actually is in fact the right option or the best option for that particular client. So I hope this helps. As always, thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you on the next podcast. Cheers.
You've been listening to Master Dealmaker Secrets with John Blake. Subscribe to get more in-depth strategies and maximize your sales process with new episodes every other week. And double your inquiry to sale conversion with the lead flow you already have. Go to johnblakeaudio.com for his exclusive, free, no fluff audio training and companion PDF guide.